Today I'm going to be talking about immigration. And immigration has been a popular topic that people like to talk about in the United States for quite a few years now. And I'm going to say why immigration should not be free, why it should be restricted. I'm just going to tell you all a little bit about why it should be restricted. So I think the American government should make policies that cater to the American people's interests, that have the people's best interests in heart. And so the immigration policies that we have right now basically do not have the American people in their best interest. Because the immigration policies are based mostly on family and relationships, and they don't factor in education or job skills hardly at all. So this causes a lot of economic problems with the large amount of immigrants that come into the United States, because there's a very large amount of the immigrants that are uneducated, have no education past the high school level, and have little to no job skills. So some people would like to tell you that immigrants actually improve the economy, but this just isn't true. There was a study done by the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine that showed that immigrants every year use more money in public services rendered to them than they actually provide in tax dollars. So they actually estimated that the net deficit on the United States could be as high as $296 billion every year. So this is obviously a lot of money, which that's a maximum figure, but it's obviously a negative on the United States government and the debt that we already have and the economy that we currently have. And this is compounded by the fact that there's such a high number of immigrants coming into the United States every year. We allow more immigrants in than any other country in the world, and there's not only a large amount of legal immigrants coming in, there is a very large millions, tens of millions of illegal immigrants coming into the United States every year as well. And while immigrants that have good paying jobs that can provide for themselves and their dependents, they can improve the economy, and their tax dollars can do good for the government and the economy, but this can take several years for it to actually realize, the United States and our economy to realize the benefits of these tax dollars. So basically this is made worse by the large number of immigrants that is allowing to come in, because the first few years, even if they have high enough paying jobs to benefit the economy, the first few years that they're in the country, it's actually a net deficit to the economy. So this is just some reasons why we should not only maybe change the policies, but at the very least try to cut back on the number of illegal immigrants that are allowed to come into the country every year. And another bad thing about the large number of immigrants that's coming into the United States is that they increase the workforce, which actually sounds like a good thing at first, but when you realize that there's an unprecedented number of these immigrants that are in working class jobs, there's just not enough jobs in these fields and industries to support this many. So what it ends up doing is it decreases the wages for the Americans that are already here in the working class. It lowers their wages by anywhere from $800 to $2,000 every year, and it also increases the unemployment rate, because there's too much competition on the lower end, that there's just not enough jobs to supply these unskilled, uneducated workers. So it's actually very hurtful to the lower class citizens of the United States. And another problem that this causes is it supports the income inequality that's already in the United States. So basically, the rich are getting richer off of making more profit from paying these unskilled workers less, and the unskilled workers are making less and less every year. So it's just further separating the upper class and the lower class at this point. And a lot of people would say that it's actually selfish to not allow immigrants in, because it will help the poor. It will help lower the world poverty. But this is just doesn't make really a lot of sense when you think about it, because one, who's to say that these unskilled, uneducated workers coming in are any better off in America, making very low wages and still on welfare and drawing from the government. And there's also the argument that the government could much better use the money that we lose from paying these social services to these immigrants with aid programs for impoverished countries. And so I'm going to end on a high note of how we can do something to fix these problems. You can look no further than the president. I think that Trump actually has some really good ideas on these policies. He wants to change the policies to where the immigrants that are let in are more based on their education and their job skills, so that they can actually help the economy instead of drawing from these public services and not hardly giving any tax dollars back. And he also is smart in that he is trying to restrict all the illegal immigrants coming in, and he's doing this in a very smart way by using the desire of the Mexican government to also keep immigrants from coming to the United States. And he's done this, he's reinforced the border already with no cost to the U.S. government. So that's just a little bit about why we should not have free immigration, and a little bit about what we can do about it. Thanks.